Okay, let's jump right in. You're looking to get the essential rundown on pro wrestling for, what was it, May 5th to 9th, 2025.
Yep, across the Big Five, WWE Raw, NXT, SmackDown, TNA Impact, and AEW Dynamite and Collision.
Right. Well, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to cut through everything else and really focus on the key moments, the big storylines from this past week.
And our main source for this week is it's a narrated review called Wrestling Tracks, Wrestling's Warpath.
Ah, good one.
Yeah, and it kicks off by saying wrestling's in this golden storm phase right now. 5 promotions all really pushing for, well, domination.
Golden Storm. I like that. It definitely feels that way. Sets the stage perfectly. Okay, so Monday night, WWE Raw, Netflix era, fully underway now. And the big thing out of Omaha, gotta be the World Heavyweight Championship scene, right? G. Uso came in as champ.
He did. And that title defense against Seth Rollins, well, it didn't end cleanly. DQ finish.
Yeah, thanks to CM Punk, a chair shot to Rollins, just like that.
Yeah.
Massive disruption.
Huge. And you immediately start thinking, okay, what's Punk's play here? Is this just about Rollins, or is he gunning for that title?
And Wrestling Tracks also threw in that maybe Paul Heyman's kind of nudging Jey Uso behind the scenes.
Classic Heyman, right? Always working an angle.
Always. Plus, you've got Braun Breaker really starting to emerge. The source even floated this idea of, like, a new bloodline potentially forming around him.
Right, even if they don't call it that, it's that same kind of powerhouse vibe. For anyone maybe newer, the original bloodline, Roman Reigns group, was just massively dominant.
Exactly. So the whole title picture on Raw feels, I don't know, really volatile. Lots of moving parts.
It really does. And that uncertainty, it just opens up so many doors, you know. Punk being back adds that complete unpredictability. Breaker rising could be a huge power shift long term.
Yeah, feels like we're seeing the groundwork for maybe the next generation of main eventers.
Could be.
So beyond that main event angle, Raw had other stuff going on. Penta beat JD McDonough.
Right, but not without interference, right? Judgment Day involved, even Gable.
Yeah, pretty chaotic finish with that Mexican destroyer. And Sheamus made his return.
Oh, yeah. Good to see him back.
Definitely. Straight up beat Austin Theory with a brogue kick. Made an immediate impact.
Nice. Always brings the intensity.
Then in the women's division, IYO SKY got a win over Roxanne Perez. Roll-up finish, I think.
Yeah, but the source mentioned a post-match attack. Julia involved.
Right. Julia and Perez attacking IYO after the bell, so maybe a new rivalry brewing there.
Interesting. Keeps things fresh.
Oh, and Rusev, he's back too. Beat Otis with the accolade.
And then went after Tozawa as well.
Yeah, didn't stop there. Clearly sending a message. He looks intense, renewed focus, maybe.
Now, these other matches, they're important, right? They build up the whole show. Penta's match ties into existing feuds. Sheamus adds that veteran presence back.
Totally. And the women's division keeps developing with these attacks and new faces popping up.
So what really stood out for you from those?
For me, gotta say Sheamus returning felt big. Just injects energy. And yeah, that post-match beatdown with IYO, Julia, and Perez definitely caught my eye. Potential for a great feud there.
Makes sense.
We also had some key segments, non-match stuff. Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria. Things got heated.
Over the women's IC title.
Yep. Ended in a brawl. That feud feels like it could really elevate that title.
Yeah, definitely raises the stakes when it gets personal like that.
And then the face-to-face between Pat McAfee and Gunther.
Oh, yeah. Building to backlash.
Pure electricity. McAfee's passion against Gunther's, dominance. Great contrast.
Absolutely. McAfee just connects with the crowd so well, makes him a believable or at least compelling challenger against someone like Gunther, that real David versus Goliath feel.
Totally. Okay, switching gears. Tuesday night, NXT.
Right. Wrestling Tracks called it a quiet week. But quiet for NXT can still mean important stuff.
Exactly. It doesn't mean nothing happened. Trick Williams is still NXT champion, looking dominant.
Yeah, seems like they're really behind him, solidifying his spot at the top.
We saw a really good fast women's match. Kiana James and Sol Ruka. Athletic stuff.
Highlights the depth they have there. And Obafemi, still North American champ, still undefeated.
Total beast, just running through people.
And NXT is interesting because it's developmental, but it's also his own brand with its own stories, right? Williams staying champ suggests big plans, and Femi's streak. You just wonder who finally steps up and gives him a real challenge.
Yeah, when does that crack appear? And also worth mentioning, Axiom and Nathan Frazier.
Oh, yeah. Building momentum.
Yeah, and they're popping up on Raw and SmackDown, too. Seems like WWE sees potential there across the board.
Good sign for them. Cross-brand exposure.
Plus, Carmelo Hayes is still kind of lurking, as the source put it.
Still got his eyes on Trick Williams in that title.
Yeah, feels like that story's definitely not over yet.
No, keeping him in the picture is smart. He's a credible threat, ready to jump back in whenever they decide the time is right. Keeps that tension simmering.
Right. Okay, Friday night then. SmackDown.
SmackDown felt like it was building towards something big, maybe the end of a chapter for Cena and Orton.
Yeah, that was the big narrative. Two absolute legends. Decades of history there.
Yeah, definitely. Anytime they interact, it feels important. So Cena cut this skating promo on Orton.
Yep. And how did Orton respond?
RKO out of nowhere to close the show.
Of course. Classic Orton. Feels like a big punctuation mark on, well, whatever this current phase was. Makes you wonder what's next for both of them.
For sure. Big questions there.
SmackDown had some solid matches, too. LA Knight teamed up with Damian Priest.
Against Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu.
Right. And Knight got the pin, BFT for the win. His momentum just keeps rolling. Crowd is really behind him.
Yeah, he's definitely connecting. Seems like they're positioning him for something big.
Hope so. Elsewhere, Nia Jax beat Jade Cargill.
To become #1 contender. That's significant for Nia.
Yeah, big win for her. Then we saw Alexa Bliss teaming with Zelina Vega. They beat Chelsea Green and Piper Niven.
And Bliss used Sister Abigail.
She did. Pulled that out for the win. Definitely got people talking.
Interesting callback. Wonder if that means anything more.
Andrade and Rey Fenix looked good again. Beat Los Garzas. They're a fun team.
Dynamic pairing.
And then, connecting back to NXT, Fraxia Maxim and Frazier, they beat the Street Profits.
Wow, an upset. That's a big statement for them on the main roster.
Definitely. Shows that NXT talent can hang. So SmackDown had a real mix. Night Rising, Nia getting a shot, Bliss doing, well, whatever that was.
Right, lots of different storyline threads moving forward. Sets up interesting possibilities depending on who the champs are.
And the segments were important, too. Beyond Cena and Orton, Charlotte Flair returned.
How did that go?
Not great for her.
Yeah.
Got booed pretty heavily. Looked like it genuinely got to her. She stormed off.
Ooh, okay. That's a twist. Does she lean into it? Become a heel again?
Yeah.
Or try to win them back?
Yeah.
Creates intrigue around her character.
Yeah, exactly. We also had Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax trading words, building their issue.
Getting that personal spice.
And Aleister Black beat Carmelo Hayes.
Wait, again, does that happen?
Well, this one had a twist. The Miz interfered, apparently tried to help Hayes, but it backfired and cost him the match.
Okay, so accidental interference. Still another loss for Hayes. But Black gets the win. Shows how tangled these stories can get across brands.
For sure. Okay, let's pivot to Thursday. TNA Impact Wrestling.
Right. Wrestling Tracks made a point of saying TNA's been really consistent, doing good work in this, rebuilding phase.
Yeah, they've carved out a nice niche. And they blend veterans with newer talent really well. Moose is still their world champ, right? Retain against Joe Hendry.
Yep. Keeps him positioned as the top guy. And Jordynne Grace beat Giselle Shaw. Last woman standing match.
Oof, yeah. Those are always intense. Showcases the Knockouts division really well.
Definitely. They always deliver in those big stipulation matches.
Also saw the Rascals keep their tag titles, solidifying their spot.
Good for them. Tag division seems active.
And they teased a future match. Nick Nemeth, formerly Dolph Ziggler, versus Steve Maclin.
Oh, that could be fantastic. Two great workers, different styles. Potential show stealer right there.
Yeah, it feels like TNA is building towards some really strong singles matches. Smart booking.
Definitely. Nemeth brings that experience. Maclin brings that TNA-owned toughness. Good matchup.
And the source also mentioned the AJ Francis and Rich Swann storyline, exploring legacy, culture.
Right. Adds a bit more depth than just wins and losses. Gives it some substance.
Yeah, interesting angle. And like you said, the Knockouts division just continues to be a major strength for them. High-quality stuff.
Consistently strong. You always wonder who's going to be the next big breakout star from there.
True. All right, final stop. AEW, Dynamite and Collusion.
And Wrestling Tracks said they were operating at full throttle.
Sounds about right for AEW. High energy, lots of action usually.
Definitely. So, Dynamite. Will Ospreay confronted Hangman Page.
Yep. Immediate buzz around that potential matchup. Led to a tag match later against the Don Callis family. Classic
AEW. Plant the seeds for a bigger feud down the line. Ospreay versus Page. Yeah. That has potential.
Big time. Toni Storm won a women's title eliminator. She's just rolling through the division.
Total dominance. Clearly positioned as a top contender, if not the top force right now.
And then that weird crossover thing, Aleister Black beat Carmelo Hayes again, this time on Dynamite.
Huh. Okay, that is unusual. A result actually crossing over like that. Doesn't happen often.
No. Makes you wonder what the story is there. And the big six-man tag, Young Bucks and Ricochet beat Swerve Strickland, Speedball Mike Bailey, and Mark Briscoe.
Wow, that match just sounds insane on paper. Non-stop action, I bet.
Had to be. Pure athleticism. AEW special right there.
For sure. Then over on Collision, Samoa Joe got a win.
Yeah, beat Claudio Castagnoli. Hard-hitting match between two vets. Joe just looks unstoppable right now.
Reinforces his status as just a major force in AEW. Tough guy to beat.
And Kazuchika Okada won a Continental Title Eliminator. Beat Kevin Knight.
Okada chasing more gold. Adds serious prestige to that Continental Title picture with him involved. Shows the level of talent they've brought in.
Absolutely. And beyond the matches, some key storyline stuff bubbling up in AEW. The whole CM Punk situation, it just looms, doesn't it? Even if he's not physically there, the tension, the talk.
Yeah, his presence, or lack thereof, still creates ripples everywhere. Speaks to his star power, I guess.
For sure. And MJF aligning with the Hurt Syndicate.
Whoa, okay. That's a swerve. Big change in direction for him. Could really shake things up, especially in the tag scene.
Totally unexpected. And then maybe the most intense moment, Mercedes Moné attacking Jamie Hayter.
During a sit-down interview.
Yikes.
Yeah. Made that feud very personal, very quickly. Things just escalated massively.
Wow. Yeah, that raises the stakes considerably for their eventual match. Adds real heat.
So, yeah, that's the week in a nutshell. Like Wrestling Track said, this golden storm across WWE, TNA, AEW is fascinating.
It really is. All these promotions battling, trying to prove they're the top dog.
And you see everything, right? From NXT developmental guys getting shots, like Fraxium, to legends like Cena and Orton still commanding the spotlight. Absolutely. The whole spectrum of talent is on display.
It really does feel like their closing thought. War with ropes.
Perfect description. Constant competition, compelling stories everywhere you look.
Which kind of leads us to our final thought for you listening. With all this action, all these stars across 5 major shows, WWE, NXT, SmackDown, TNA, AEW, is there one single, unifying storyline or trend that you see emerging right now? What's the common thread, if any, in this current golden storm of wrestling?
That's a great question to chew on as we head into another week.